There's some space here too. Y'all are welcome to come here too. It's fine. On the infiltration of Sharia law into UC Berkeley's ASUC. I would like to remind this crowd that demonstrating at any verbal outburst, including but not limited to Darka, Allahu Akbar, and anything that can be misconstrued as a condemnation of the state of Israel is not allowed. Anyone who fails to follow the decorum set forth in this meeting is subject to arrest, suspension, expulsion, prosecution by the Alameda DA, deportation, and or airport roving. I am well aware that the announcement of these hearings has generated considerable controversy and opposition, but we know all too well that these views are controlled and dominated by special interest groups like the Peace Not Prejudice Coalition. Some may even consider these hearings a waste of time, simple paranoia, McCarthyism, un-American, or just plain wrong. Others have contended that this Senate should be focusing on more pertinent issues like operational excellence, the dwindling autonomy of the ASUC, battling budget cuts, analyzing the new 2012 admissions policies that will disproportionately lower admission rates of students of color, Native American repatriation, the ongoing physical assaults on women on this campus, the homophobic attacks on same-sex couples, and the overall undermining of the public character of this university. But trust me, these issues are a total joke compared to the infiltration and recruitment efforts made by the Muslim community, innocuously termed by the 5-letter word or 6-letter word, dawah. To begin our hearings, I will be interrogating 3 Muslim leaders on this campus. On the issue of infiltration, I have invited Dawah Committee Head Mariam Hassan to testify. What is this thing you call dawah?
Dawah is an Arabic word that means invitation. It is a part of a larger effort to present a clear and accurate portrayal of Islam. Our Dawah programming is aimed at educating the campus community about Islam as a religion and a way of life.
And what exactly is the nature of these events?
Well, we invite famous Islamic scholars, serve food.
Do you purposely serve food to lure starving college students to your events in the purpose of indoctrination?
Indoctrination? What are you even talking about? You're undermining people's intelligence and ability to make decisions for themselves? I just said that dawah, by definition, is an invitation, not a forced obligation for people to attend our functions.
My understanding is that the meat that you serve at these events is halal. Is this true?
Yes. What does that have to do with anything?
Thank you, Ms. Hassan. I've heard more than enough. I think we've heard with our own ears and we've seen with our own eyes. I can reasonably conclude without a shadow of our doubt that via their efforts to monopolize the sustenance that we intake and the systematic indoctrination of the student population, whether they admit it publicly or not, these students are practicing none other than stealth jihad. In other words, next time they say what's up to you on campus, they're definitely watching you as you sleep. Next, I will be bringing up MSA President Mohammed Hamoud. Please identify yourself.
My name is Mohammed Hamoud, and I'm this year's MSA President.
Did you or did you not send out an email on the 15th of March at 6:45 p.m. urging your peons to sign a petition for a meditation space?
I did, yes.
So next thing you know, we'll be hearing the adhan from the top of the Campanile. So how long has it been since you've assumed power? Like 10, 15 years?
No, I was elected last year, and I served with some great brothers and sisters in the community.
Oh, your sister. So nepotism seems to be a dominant theme in these types of communities.
What do you mean by these types of communities? You're talking about 1.2 billion people here.
Look, I never accused 1.2 billion of you. Some of you are great. I even have a Muslim friend. His name is Omar.
Even if you had a million Muslim friends, even if Muhammad Ali was your favorite boxer, even if you listened to Lupe Fiasco nonstop, the fact remains.
But the fact remains that there's a group out there that seek to destroy this campus. And I have evidence straight from Campus Watch and Wikipedia.
What evidence? The fact that you put me here in the criminal's chair. Who the heck are you to put me here, questioning me in the first place?
Who am I? I'm a golden bear. I bleed blue and gold. I bet you're one of those muzzy transfers not even paying for full 4 years at the university, leeching off the rest of us and ruining this campus.
That was a string outfit.
Same shit. Next. Finally, someone agreeable. Yes? Honey, you can take your scarf off now. We're at UC Berkeley. It's like the best place for liberalism and freedom.
This scarf is staying on, thanks. But did you just call me honey? Because like, homie, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Listen, I'm just trying to give you your freedoms back. I mean, did your dad force you to wear that? Do you shower with that on? Did you have a bad hair day? Let's try to stay on topic though. Miss Abdelghani, my understanding is that you are the sister of Mohammed Abdelghani. Was he not the former president of UC Irvine's MSU? And is he not currently facing misdemeanor charges as one of the Irvine 11?
Yes, that is correct.
Miss Abdelghani, would you say that their act of protest was a bad idea or the worst idea ever?
You're the worst
So the
interrogator.
worst idea ever. Now, will you condemn them for what we've agreed is the worst idea ever?
Condemn them for what? Civil disobedience?
Miss Abdelghani, these students have, in their paroxysms and their platitudes, have chilled the speech of high-ranking government officials. They have slandered the only democracy in the Middle East. They have stripped Lady Liberty of her grace and chastity. How dare they? How dare they?
Wait, so what's the question?
Listen to these words carefully, Miss Abdelghani. The Irvine 11 was caught red-handed, hooting and hollering. Were they not hooting and were they not hollering? I will accept a public apology right now.
What's going on? So am I to understand that I'm guilty by association? You know, you might as well call me an unindicted co-conspirator. This is an abomination.
A bomb in the nation? Terrorists! I knew it. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have conclusive evidence that there is an Islamic extremist in our midst. Actually, looks like there's lots of them here tonight. How can we trust such an individual to infiltrate the university's governing body with their twisted views of Sharia law? Today, we can see clearly that Muslims on this campus make up one of the most vicious weapons of all. And it seems like there's nothing you can do to stop it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's called a community. God save us all. All right, so hopefully that didn't offend anyone. That was completely satirical. You are welcome to laugh, and I'm glad you did. So SB 114 is something extraordinarily important to our community. It is a response to hate speech inculcated by a lecturer hired by the University of California. Anyone that is even affiliated with the university should not be allowed to get away with these kinds of things. It doesn't matter if it's Islamophobia. It doesn't matter if it's homophobia. It doesn't matter if it's racism against the Black community or the Asian community. It is a problem. And then we expect that communities are out here to please stand solidarity with us. So I would like to show a 2-minute video clip of the situation so that we can have a little bit of context in this discussion. Huh? It won't be loud, so if you guys keep it down, that'd be great.
Wait, I got it. I'll fix it.
It's had become poisoned by the rhetoric that they hear on campus. And who are the primary sources of this? What are the two primary sources of this? The NSA and SJP students. And who are they? Who are these students? They are generally motivated by very strong religious and political convictions. They have a fire in their belly. They come to the university. Many of them are foreign students who come from cultures and countries where anti-Semitism is
I'd like to please invite Naweed Mohabbat and Talia Miramalik, who are our MEM sendors, candidates for the next year, come forward and present the bills.
SB 114, a resolution condemning Islamophobic hate speech at the University of California.
Whereas the University of California has identified the issue of campus climate as a priority for administration, staff, and students across the UC system, and
Whereas the UC prides itself on welcoming students from any race, religion, gender, ethnicity, and sexual orientation, yet pockets of racism and hate still exist on this campus, which makes the UC an unwelcoming experience for certain communities. And
whereas Islamophobia is defined as the irrational fear of Islam, Muslims, and anything related to the Islamic or Arab cultures and traditions, and
whereas since September 11, 2001, Islamophobia has become the latest hazing technique across the United States and has created a chilling effect for Muslims, Arabs, and South Asians in their communities, work environments, and campuses, and
whereas, according to a Gallup study, 60% of Muslim Americans say that Muslims face prejudice from Americans, and
whereas 48% of Muslim Americans say that they have personally faced racial or religious discrimination, which is on par with Hispanic Americans at 48% and African Americans at 45%, while 54% of Arab Americans say they have experienced this type of discrimination. And
whereas since 2006, Muslim students have been targeted for surveillance by the FBI in Orange County, who said that they're paying particular attention to Muslim students at UC Irvine and UCLA, and
whereas this surveillance is occurring on the East Coast as well, with the New York Police Department surveillance of Muslim students at Yale, Columbia, Syracuse, Rutgers, New York University, and Brooklyn College, and
whereas these racist and selective surveillance procedures are justified by figures in mainstream media such as David Horowitz, who defines the core mission of MSA to advance the Islamic Jihad against the Jews and Christians of the Middle East and ultimately against the United States, and
whereas attempts to mischaracterize and chill Palestinian activism have occurred on Berkeley's own campus, with a lawsuit filed in July 2011, later dismissed in court, against the UC Regents and President Mark Yudof, containing extremely Islamophobic and anti-Arab rhetoric, referring to Students for Justice in Palestine and the Muslim Student Association as, quote, anti-Semitic and, quote, pro-terrorist. And
whereas the plaintiffs in the lawsuit allege that the more publicly active SJP may be understood as the more militant arm of the outwardly benevolent MSA, and that SJP, MSA, and MSU all fund terrorism and are tied to terrorist groups, and
whereas more recently, UC Santa Cruz lecturer Tammi Benjamin has been responsible for inciting racist and Islamophobic rhetoric by claiming that students in the MSA and SJP are, quote, generally motivated by very strong religious and political convictions. They have a fire in their belly. They come to the university. Many of them are foreign students who come from countries and cultures where anti-Semitism is how they think about the world. These are not your ordinary student groups like college Republicans or young Democrats. These are students who come with a serious agenda who have ties to terrorist organizations, end quote. And
whereas claims such as those cited above create an unsafe and divisive environment for Middle Eastern, Muslim, South Asian students, and others who may be perceived as being of similar descent. And these claims are completely opposite to the values of a premier university system. And
whereas the president of the University of California, Mark Yudof, is responsible for advocating for all students, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, or sexual orientation, and
whereas the University of California is no place for hateful and inflammatory rhetoric and holds its students, faculty, staff, and affiliates to higher standards that promote a positive and inclusive campus climate. Therefore,
be it resolved that the ASUC condemn the remarks of lecturer Tammi Benjamin and those described in the above-mentioned lawsuit as hateful and inflammatory, and
be it further resolved that the ASUC urge President Mark Yudof to condemn these inflammatory, hateful, and racist assumptions by UCSC lecturer Tammi Benjamin against Middle Eastern, Muslim, and South Asian students and Palestinian rights activists. and
be it further resolved that EAVP Shadgar Abbasi write a letter to UCOP condemning the racist and bigoted language by Tammi Benjamin and President Udof's failure to address the matter, as well as passing a similar bill with UCSA, and
be it further resolved that the ASUC urge other campuses to pass similar bills in their respective student governments.
All right. So, as you all heard, within the bill, oftentimes the Muslim community, the Palestinian community, the Memphis community is very marginalized on campus. And a lot of times we don't even necessarily look the least, not all of us look a certain color. Those here in support against Islamophobia are of different colors, races, backgrounds, ethnicities, and I think that's amazing. But the fact remains that we are externally marginalized, and Islamophobia is a really, really big problem on our campuses. And the fact that it goes unaddressed by our president, Mark Udoff, who is supposed to represent every single student at the UC system, is just unforgivable. And I think that that's why we're here today. We're here today to condemn hate speech. We're here today to condemn Islamophobia. We're here today to condemn any kind of racist attitude or predicaments against any community, and this is a really big part of that. So at this time, I'd like to call up some members of the community who would like to say a couple words.
So my name is Rebecca Pierce. I'm a UC Santa Cruz student. I'm a member of our Committee for Justice in Palestine. I just wanted to thank the authors of this bill for writing it because we've been really struggling to get the bare minimum of response from our school even. So to see this is really amazing. The solidarity from our fellow students is so encouraging. I just wanted to let you guys know that the words that Tammi says in this video aren't like her words alone. I myself have gotten really threatening hate mail because of my work in CJP that made the exact same claims, that I'm connected to the Muslim Brotherhood, that I'm receiving money from the Saudis, all sorts of crazy things. Our students have to deal with a lot of harassment on our school campus. There's like a very strong climate of fear every time we put on our events, and unfortunately we have a really difficult time getting our school to respond. Last year we had a very hateful disruption during our Palestinian Awareness Week cultural show, during the poet's performance. It wasn't even about Palestine, and the school remained totally silent on that. So we really hope that this bill can help push the school to act, and we're hoping to see more actions like this and more co-solidarity between our groups, because seeing all these people here tonight is really beautiful. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jaime Catter. I'm a community activist. And well, we saw the video clip. I had seen it previously. And you could see that there are several things wrong with what she says. Personally, I like to, or I prefer to see similarities between Islamophobia and what happens in this country against Hispanics. My parents came to this country from El Salvador. And I've seen a lot of hate mail or hate messages in community newspapers, your mainstream newspapers. And even there are at least three books against Hispanics in this country. I believe 2 of them are written by professors, and they talk about, well, some of them mention how we don't like to assimilate. And it's true. I don't want to assimilate into the culture of this country. And, okay, I'm going to say something maybe I shouldn't say, but I heard a Spanish saying a while back, and it's in relation to these professors because they have a big position. And the saying in Spanish was, tan grandes pero tan brutos. So that translates into English, so great but so dumb. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Talia. Sorry I already mentioned this, but we are the Senate, the MEMSA endorsed candidates for Senate. So I wanted to make a few points. First of all, I'm not standing here to put on display my life and my struggles so that you can better understand what Islamophobia is, but because it's a sad fact if you haven't looked into it already, and I really recommend that you do. Second of all, I would like to say that if this is an issue that you have not heard of, if this is an issue that you have not encountered, This is an issue that is very prevalent on this campus. This is an issue that is very prevalent on multiple UC campuses, on all of them, and within America. It is a very difficult time to be a Muslim when every day you turn on the television and the first person who's getting shot, in every video game also, by the way, right, the first person who's getting shot is someone who looks like someone who's from your country, right? Because what does that tell you? Oh, I'm not worthy of being killed because that somehow satisfies someone else's agenda. That's blatantly wrong, and to support, and to not stand against moments when professors blatantly dehumanize Muslims is to support that rhetoric, and is to support it, because if you don't do anything about it, you're really letting it happen. So it's really important. I urge every single senator here to take the words of me and all these people who are speaking soon after me and before me seriously, and understand this is not just a little issue. This is a big issue, and it's an issue that is tied to everyone's struggle. Be it someone who's struggling against anti-Semitism, be it someone who's struggling against racism, and any sort of discrimination is wrong. So it's important that you listen to these words, and it's important that you support this bill. Thank you.
So with that, as you all heard, this is something that really personally impacts my own family. This is something that personally impacts my community. In conversations with senators, in conversation with execs, we had our MEMSA town hall last night, and every single candidate mentioned that Islamophobia is an issue on campus that needs to be addressed. And I think that, with the Senate standing with us tonight in solidarity and voting for this bill, voting to keep our administration accountable to every single student, and no student should feel marginalized, especially to make claims as if they're tied to terrorist organizations. You all know me, I'm like the nicest person ever. I mean, unless you're they write crappy FICOM bills, but otherwise I'm really cool. So, I think you all should really support this, stand with my community in solidarity. We have a room full of people who are here to show you that this matters, that this is something that's important in our community. So, with no more further ado, I would like to call a roll call vote. I'd like to make a motion. Second. Roll call vote. All right.
Motion to pass SB 4.1.
Yeah, let's do that first.
There's been a request for roll call, so I'll just SB 114A. All right. Senator Bellick. Aye. Senator Chen.
Aye.
Senator Deo.
Aye with comment.
Senator Gilbertson.
Aye.
Senator Hua. Senator Huo. Senator Jacobo. Senator Knifa.
Aye with comment.
Senator Kane. Senator Lee.
Aye.
Senator Liu.
Aye with comment.
Senator Lurie. Senator Ma.
Aye.
Senator Madge.
Aye.
Senator Pacheco. Senator Pack.
I would comment.
Senator Pepito.
I will comment.
Senator Saifuddin.
Aye.
Senator Vertiz.
Aye.
Senator White.
Aye.
Senator Hua. Senator Huo. Senator Kobo. Senator Kane. Senator Lurie. Senator Pacheco. One last time, Senator Hua. Senator Huo. Senator Jacobo. Senator Kane. Senator Lurie. Senator Pacheco. Chair, I'd like to entertain a motion to close the rolls.
Second move.
Senators at ease while I tally the votes. Votes of 14-0-0. This bill passes. Yeah, so there's 2 minutes of time per comment. That's not really one time. That's 1 minute? Okay, Mr. Lewis says 1 minute, so it's 1 minute. All right, Senator Deo first.
So, thank you all for coming out tonight. I think that any form of racism, no matter what religious group it is, it's really important that we really take that into consideration, and no matter what no matter what race it is, we really consider that and how people feel in terms of their portrayal on campus. And I think the most important part of this is our media today. Our media today tends to take the most hateful comments from the more extremist views and put them into the media. And that's something that really should be stopped. It shouldn't be sensationalist news. So thank you all for coming today. And this is something that we should take a stance against any religious group on campus. So thank you guys.
Senator Kadipa.
Sure, I first want to just thank Senator Saifuddin for the fantastic presentation and taking initiative on that bill. Yeah, I mean, this is a problem with America. This is a problem that this community has gone through basically since 9/11, and this is a problem that I think everyone who is remotely MEMSA affiliated sort of has experienced in some small way in their life, whether at airport security, whether on campus. I think, the MEMSA community is going through our emerging times, becoming a community and becoming part of America. And unfortunately, this is sort of part of the process we're going to go through. And I think we can take solidarity from the struggles of other communities who have already gone through this. And I'm also inspired by seeing not only the more senior members of this community here, but also the newer members of the community, knowing that when I graduate from Berkeley, there'll be people to keep this forward, to keep this moving. So, thank you.
Senator Luke. I'd like to first thank Sadia, Senator Saifuddin, for bringing her community to this Senate body, and I also want to thank the community. You gave me chills when you were giving the presentation. I know it was what's the word? Satirical. Thank you. But aside from the presentation itself, just seeing your community so united together gave me chills, and you reminded me that community means power, and so I thank you.
Senator Pat.
I would echo the sentiments of previous senators. Thank you all so much for coming out and for helping to educate us about this issue. If it weren't so horrifying, I would be amused by the comments in the video, because it seems like this bizarre inversion, there's this assertion of anti-Semitism as a worldview when, to me it looks like Islamophobia in the US is a worldview for a lot of people. Like, we've had multiple states go into this state of hysteria about Sharia law and pass laws about this thing that's a non-issue. And then the racial profiling, and then just Muslim individuals in the United States being faced with rhetorical and also physical violence on a day-to-day basis. And I really want to commend you all for speaking out against this type of speech, because if we don't stand up and speak out against this, it has a very chilling effect on what other organizations do. And so thank you all again so much for being here. I look forward to seeing more work on this and watching this go forward through UCSA.
Senator Kikito, last comment.
Okay, so may the chair please address the chamber. I just want to again thank you all as well for coming out. I know how much it means to me as a senator whenever I see community out here, so I'm sure Senator Saifuddin appreciates it a lot right now, feels the love, you're really excited. And thank you also for making such a creative presentation. That's probably the most creative hold the bill presentation we've ever seen in Senate thus far. And I think it's really important that we brought this conversation forward today. I think too often do we get so wrapped up in our lives to think that we are too busy to have these types of difficult conversations, which they shouldn't even be difficult in the first place, and the reason why they are is because we're not having them. So I'm really appreciative of that, and it just goes to show that just as much as hate speech hurts because it's out loud and verbal, it hurts just as much to stay silent about it and to keep these oppressions perpetuated. So it's definitely important to stay proactive. And I hope you all feel supported tonight and that we're all standing in solidarity with you. And if you don't, just know that you have allies in the room right now.
Okay, that's everything.
Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it.